Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so excited to have our guest here joining us, who's a life and spiritual coach. Yes, the Petri Dish Life. Chris Villalobos joining us here. Welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me on, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing great. And you hail from Dallas, Texas. Beautiful city. I love your
Correct.
state.
I love my state, but it is very hot right now. It is extremely hot.
I'm
Uh,
sure. I'm
yeah,
sure.
I'm ready for this heat wave to be over. That
All
is
right.
for sure.
Well, let me ask a little bit about you. Tell us about the work you do.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm a life and health coach. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a Reiki master, adversity coach, and then I'm also a case manager for homeless youth. So all in all, I could say to sum it up, I'm a muse. I help people to kind of hold space for them and allow them to process energy so that they can start to evolve into what it is that their life purpose is. So it's
Aw.
yeah, I definitely I wish I was more of a muse to myself because I was like, woo, transformations would be great. But no, this is kind of what I do for people is just help them to see their own inner light and make them come into a better space so that they're able to take on the challenges that they're ready to do, you know?
My goodness, love to hear that. Well, we're going to find out more about you. I want to talk about the website as well to let them know how we contact you. Would you mind sharing all
Sure.
forms of contact information?
Yeah, absolutely. So the website is called thepetridishlife.com. If you go on there, you'll get a book a free session, book a discovery call button that's on there. You reach out to me, and then I'll get an email, follow up with a call, set up a free discovery call, which will allow you to kind of spend 45 minutes with me, kind of figuring out what it is that you're trying to discover about yourself, what it is that you're trying to achieve, and if we
Uh-huh.
work well together.
Awesome.
Then I also have, you can always see me on Instagram, which is the Petri Dish 2020. And that's about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward and simple. I'm not gonna spend too much time working on that one because social media is always so fun, you know?
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, this is exciting work that you do, but I think it's important to kind of get to know you as a person before we talk more of you as the spiritual coach and the work that you're doing. So, if you wouldn't mind,
Sure.
tell me, first and foremost, a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and we'll talk a little bit about, who do you care about too?
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised just north of Dallas in Plano, and I had a great upbringing. I was very fortunate to be born into a family that was very loving, very attentive, and supportive for me. So it helped with that coming out process because I am part of the LGBTQ umbrella there.
Yay.
Yes, we always love the gays, right?
I love
But
it.
So over time, basically, I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18 years old. On my 18th birthday was my very first day in Los Angeles, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and I went out for the acting experience. But that ended up coming into a place where I realized pretty quickly that the acting side of things was not for me, but what I was able to do was actually really attach myself to people. I was able to help them
Mhm.
and start to transform them. So as I was going and putting myself through college, I actually became HIV positive. So this was about a decade ago that I started to understand. I mean, it was a wake up call, it was a slap to the face, ultimately,
Mhm.
of what are you doing with your life? And I felt like I was kind of going nowhere at that time. And it forced me to have to really look at myself and have to find a love and appreciation for myself. And from that started to grow from the seeds of that started growing this beautiful plant that I have blossomed into today. But of course, it's never just an easy, perfect journey by any means. There was a lot of times where I had to really figure out what it is that I was doing. And when you become HIV positive, kind of knocks you down a level. I mean, on the outward experience here, I am a white male, so privilege right there. But once you're gay and then you have HIV, it's kind of like, well, what am I doing here? Like I'm a whole different level. So I had to really become uh it brought me to new depths of empathy, which allowed me to connect with people because I was seen as lesser in my eyes and
Mhm.
other eyes. So from there, I started connecting with people on a real level. It wasn't about what I was where I was trying to go, it was about how can I be seen as a person, how can I really help people to see themselves as well as see myself through that. Then along that journey, addiction, that's
Hmm.
been in my life for like the last 15 years. Started with weed, then I went to cocaine, then I went to meth. I will be very transparent about that because it's such a big part of my journey to have to see and accept the darkness as well as the light. So on that spectrum, it's very like you have to really come to terms with that again and find acceptance with it and invite that to your table versus trying to push it away. So that's part of the adversity coaching that I do as well, is that teaching how to welcome that into your life in a loving and accepting way and enhance yourself from that and come from a place of empowerment versus, letting it crumble you or continue to fall into those patterns and that kind of stuff. So over that course of time, and then through again the loss of my brother, that was 6 years ago. Yeah, that one was interesting. That one really made me open up to the spirituality aspect of myself.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing great things because at that point I was running an HIV nonprofit. I was helping people navigate the healthcare system, getting them connected to benefits. I was getting them connected to doctors, insurance, pharmacies, all this really great stuff. But I was so integrated into the community that I was not creating boundaries or time for myself, healthy boundaries.
Hmm.
So with that, all this stress was coming on. And then when I lost my brother, it was a
Yeah.
wake up call to me of like, what am I doing? Where is my spirituality? Because I was basically flatlined at that point. And so from all of this, it's been a journey over the last 4.5 years where that's where the Reiki Master course came
Yeah.
into play and energy work and trying to dive deep into what is it that I really am standing for? What is it that I want to do and give back to humanity while still, keeping something for myself, creating these healthy
I
boundaries.
I love you, Chris. Can I say
Oh,
that? You're just a beautiful
thank
soul.
you.
I love your energy. I love your
Thank
honesty.
you.
We've all made mistakes in life. We've all done things that we're not proud of. And you know what? We live in them. We stick by them. And here we are learning to teach others maybe the things that we've done that aren't right to enlighten
Right.
them, because you are not someone who's just how could I say this? Walking talking the talk, you're walking the walk. You've really
Thank
been, you
you.
can empathize with people who have had addiction, who struggle in so many different areas, and you're here
Yeah.
bringing this to them. So when did you discover the Petri dish life? So that was what, about 2 years ago? And how did you come up with the
Yes.
name?
Okay. So, all right. So the story is actually kind of funny. Whenever I was first diagnosed with HIV, it was like week after week after week, I kept getting calls from the doctor being like, "Oh, not only are you HIV positive, but you've got chlamydia. Oh, you've got HPV." And I'm like, "What is going on?" So I instead of crying about it, I turned it into a joke, and I was like, "You know what? My memoirs are going to be called My Life as a Petri Dish, the lessons I learned from each STI." And from that, over time, because it's been about 2 years that I've gotten my life and health coach certifications, and I decided that I was going to turn the Petri dish because I got the trademark for it. And I was like, well, I got to do something with this. So I realized though that the Petri dish turns into an experiment within yourself. I am in my own Petri dish right now, and the experiments that we play and introduce into our lives should be continuous. We should always be playing with curiosity and trying new ideas and seeing how that develops into our lives so that we are ultimately experimenting and playing on different notes at any given time. So the Petri dish life is throwing yourself into the experiment, not watching from the outside. You can observe, obviously, but you're supposed to be playing and growing and seeing how yourself can evolve, not bacteria,
Got
you
it.
know?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, look, I always tell you a funny story. I love the word petri dish because I have my 8-year-old son. I have an 8 and a 6-year-old. My 8-year-old son, I tell him,
Very nice.
"Mommy made you in a petri dish." Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I said, "I'm a single mom. I ordered sperm and I went to the doctor and put the
Good for
sperm in a petri dish."
you.
So I love that term. My son at 8 knows I was made in a petri dish. I'm like, damn right you were. We're proud of that. Everyone
I
has a story.
love that.
Everyone has, everyone's different.
Absolutely.
Back then, people judged me. What are you doing? Having a baby by yourself? I said, look, I said, this is what I want. I
No.
can't find a partner. Who needs it? They let me do it. And lo and behold, I have a beautiful 8 and 6-year-old. So I
No,
just
I
love the
love
title of
that.
your show. Yeah, not everybody
That's
gets it
that's
either. I
amazing.
put it out there, but hey, who well, I don't care.
No,
But it
and
is what it is.
from
People
that
always
grew
like, well,
love.
who's the father? Where how'd you have a baby? I'm like, none of your business. But
Ah,
whatever.
screw them. Who cares? This is you.
Exactly.
This
I
is
have
all
two
about
beautiful
you.
boys,
Yep.
Austin and Jackson. So let's talk a little bit more now about
I love that.
I clearly this is a safe place you could share everything. I'm feeling open and honest to share my personal life with you.
Thank
Um,
you. That
what
makes
would
me
you
feel so
say?
good.
No, well, who is an ideal client for you, would you say?
Yeah. Okay. Ultimately, someone who's going through adversity and feels like they can't get out of it, that's the easiest one for me. That's what I can latch onto and help you to grow into a place of empowerment. But ultimately, it's anyone who's feeling stagnant or frustrated with their life, someone who feels that they're not living in the moment or to their highest purpose in their life, and they're ready to elevate to their inner light to a higher place. And honestly, I want to work with people that are ready to take on those next challenges and be very clear and aware of where they are so that we can work together and collaborate into that. Because ultimately, it's their journey, it's not mine. I'm just here to help facilitate that. And as a Reiki master, it's like, whoa, I bring in the energy work to help you transform into what you need. So you get to state what it is that you want, you know?
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And also, at this time of the show is kind of where we got to take a quick little break. Just
Okay.
tell us, it's not really a break. Tell us how we can reach you again if people are just tuning in, and then we're gonna go further into, what would you say is unique about your coaching style?
Sure. Yeah. So you can reach me at thepetridishlife.com, and you can find the buttons to click a discovery call, and we'll get on our way.
Perfect. Yay. Awesome. Awesome. So, what would you say makes you unique?
Yeah. So what's unique about me is that, I mean, no bars held. I will. It's one-on-one coaching that I do, and it's a little bit of structure, which mixed with intuitive coaching. So this allows for the individual to basically be at their own helm and take on their journey with me there beside them to help guide them in whatever ways I can. So it brings in a little bit of the well, not a little bit, it's about 50-50, but it ultimately brings in the woo-woo wah-wah of the energy work and the new age universe. How can you start to develop and create a new reality for yourself, and brings in this different ideas and concepts of how energy plays with our everyday lives. And then from there, because I've been a case manager in so many aspects for over the last 7 years, helping people in a more structured, grounded reality basis of how do I get you to the next place for stability, for building foundations, getting you to places that you are wanting to go, especially over the last 2 years as a case manager for homeless youth. We're coming with people with a lot of trauma, and we're bringing them into our 18-month program, and we're helping them set the foundations and build these or create these building blocks for them to get out of poverty, get out of homelessness, and have a life. So yes, I've got the spirituality component of it, and you're here working with me on energy stuff, and you're starting to learn new concepts about the universe, but it gets plugged into a very practical approach. And you have me every step of the way. It's great.
Beautiful. Well, let's talk about specific services. So, like, I know you
Uh,
kind of break it down in three different areas. Would you mind giving us some insight to that?
Sure. So it's all at this point, it's all one-on-one coaching. So you're going to have my
Okay.
undivided attention at all times. It's every course, it starts with a 3-month transformation course. So you get 12 sessions. And from that, we have three different categories in which you can choose. We have life and creation. This one's my big baby. I love this one. This is basically the practice of diving into spirituality and the laws of the universe, and we're helping uncover a person's purpose while blending them into real world practices. And this is going to promote positive habit changes and moving them forward into a life that they desire ultimately.
Yeah.
The second one is adversity and empowerment. This is more based in a healing coaching service that helps an individual overcome their history with adversity and really promote a paradigm shift to see the lessons in pain and ultimately transform that into empowerment so that they can move on with what it is and start to create a life in which they want. And then we have the last one. This is relationships. And this is the one that I'm really kind of working on myself most of all, because to build a meaningful relationship with anyone else, you really have to start introspective and work on the relationship within yourself. So it sounds like, ooh, this worked with a relationship. I want to get into a good relationship. Well, we're actually going to start at the beginning, and we're going to start with how you're treating yourself and how that dialogue looks. And then from there, help to transfer or promote those new positive habits with your self-love and turn it into relationships with other people.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then all of the services have coursework material, supplements a rounded experience, and it integrates positive habits, practices into their daily lives that allow for growth.
Beautiful. Now, also, you're doing energy work. You mentioned Reiki before. Let's talk about that because some people might
Sure.
say, "What is Reiki?" and what are your qualifications? Are you a Reiki practitioner? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, my audio is cut out for a little bit, but I'm going to basically go forward with this.
Yes,
So
Reiki.
Reiki. All right. So Reiki and metaphysics. It all surrounds around energy. Energy is it can neither be created nor destroyed. It just exists. It is the building blocks of the entire universe in which we exist, down to our very molecules within ourselves and our cells, how we work. Energy is our connecting force to all that exists in reality and beyond. So we experience things through frequencies, essentially. Our emotional state, our mental state, and our spiritual state is all very much intertwined, but it's all about how do we integrate these together to start creating this experience in the reality in which we create for ourselves. Um, and it matters simply because this is like the energy is how we are creating our lives. It's our life force. It's our wisdom. It allows us to have empathy and step into a room and be able to read the energy of the room and kind of that intuitive knowledge that we have. It connects us on deeper levels if we allow it to, and kind of escape the mind and allow yourself to feel from within. So this is our ability to create a life, because as we are feeding on the energy from the external and we're bringing it into our internal world, we start to process our mind, our thought, our thoughts, our emotions, and our spirit then shoots it out into the reality that we're creating. Does that make sense? Was that?
Yes, it totally does. But how do you get certified in Reiki? Like, are you a Reiki practitioner? This is what I asked before. You didn't hear me. Or I know there's different
Oh,
levels of
gotcha.
what it is.
Yeah, so it was a year-long certification process, master course, and you have to go through 3 different attunements, and each one kind of the first one kind of allows you to open up and receive the energy in a cleansing kind of form, and then the second one is pure chaos. It basically sends out this filter to go through you and shoot out all of the demons that's going on through you. So then everything that you're seeing in your own reality is basically a mirror of all of the fear, the darkness, the shadow self, and allows you to start to process that. So your entire world becomes upside down at that point. That was pure chaos. And then finally at the third attunement, that's when you've gone through those cleansing processes and you are opening up to just being a channel and conduit for energy. And so through understanding, taking courses and learning about how energy works and all the different concepts that goes into it, breath work and energy work and meditations and all that stuff. Yeah, the Reiki certification, if you will, becoming a
Hmm.
Reiki master, it was a full year to go through that. And it was very enlightening and chaotic
Wow.
beyond belief.
All right. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to get to, we still, oh my gosh, look how time flies here. We got
I
10 minutes
know.
left. So hold on. We got to
Okay.
continue. So, more about this energy work and why does it matter and how does it impact the real world and what are the things that it benefits from and can help with?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because the way that society is right now and the way that humanity is right now, we are locked in our brains. I always say that the brain is a tool to be used and the mind is nothing but a burden. So you can kind of distinguish this of like it's a spectrum between fear and love.
Mm-hmm.
Fear resonates here. Love operates from here. I also contribute this to the devil versus God. So when fear is the lowest frequency in the spectrum, it moves things really slow. But if you think about it, we have, I'd say, I'm just going on a whim here, maybe 75 to 80% of our thoughts that consume us in today's society are fear-based and driven. So we are going to always be the universe with the law of attraction mirrors what it is that we are doing and what we're thinking about and how our emotions play into that. That's what creates all of this. So if you are able to get to a point where you can essentially take that fear-based thought process and emotional pattern and figure out ways to stop it and to create some sort of break for yourself, and then start to feed yourself with positive affirmations and forward thinking thought processes, and allow your emotions to go to the positive end of the frequency, which is the love-based frequency, things start coming back to you in a return much greater. So essentially you're in complete control of what your reality is. It's just based on being able to become aware of the fear versus love. How often are you living in a state of love? How often are you living in a state of fear? And when you start to become aware of that, that's when you can start to make shifts. Sounds easy, takes a lifetime. It's crazy because the brain is so the mind is so powerful in the way that we just are, our human existence right now. So
Yeah.
that's essentially nirvana that we're trying to reach, or enlightenment is living from a state of love and not letting fear consume our everyday lives.
Yes. Well, good to hear. Keep going. Let's go. Bring it on. We got
Yep,
a few
yep,
minutes
yep,
left.
yep. Okay. So how can a person change their habits? Oh, what a great question. Um, Awareness. Awareness is the first step. Once you become aware and you're observing what's happening in your life, it allows for you to kind of break in and set intentions. From there, the intentions should lead into action. Once you're creating these actions, you're going to find routines that help to build positive habits. And then from there, once you do it enough, it starts to soak into your energy pattern, which becomes part of your identity. Once you find your identity in these positive habits, it allows you to start to really break free and just start to exist in this world. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do here, is help people go from awareness to identity in these new practices.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good to
Yeah.
hear that. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. So basically, keys to success is going to be set small, attainable goals, set yourself up for an environment for success, and stick to a schedule. Stay curious and relinquish your expectations. It's not the easiest, but it is the best thing to do, is to give up expectations. They lead to nothing but frustration. So if you're able to stay curious and not and start to really stick to a new routine, that is kind of the keys to getting to a successful pattern there. And then obviously having someone there hold you accountable, creating a space for you, is really important, because I like to think that we can do this on our own. It's impossible sometimes because we fall back into our negative habits so quickly. It's so easy to do that. You know? How
No,
about
that's
you?
so true.
How
Always. Always a negative. I mean, look, yeah, from eating habits to personal relationship habits, yeah, oh gosh, I always do. And so this could help us kind of fix those things and unstick us, to get
Mhm.
unstuck in a sense. Am I saying it right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I kind of had some ways in which I wanted to do
Please.
some, like a practice
Yeah,
session
let's
with
do an
you, kind of
exercise.
like what we
Sure.
would do to in within our first session type thing here. So like I was saying before, are you okay with that? By the way, I
Absolutely.
want
You
your
have my
consent.
permission. Yes, you do.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Here we go. Let's do this. Um, so ultimately, like I was saying before, on the energy frequencies, you've got love and you have fear. And it's all about figuring out how to break the patterns of fear, right? So the easiest and quickest way that is completely natural and 100% free to break yourself of fear, especially when you've got anxiety and stress building and building and building, breathing. Your breath work is so important. So obviously we get stuck in our mind. But if we can remind ourselves, like, and you can become aware of it with your shallow breathing. You can usually feel tense in your shoulders, in your back, wherever it is that you get the most tension. For me, it's like in my jaw and in my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized at that point when I'm like this, basically behind my computer, I'm like, oh God, I'm not breathing. I'm not present. I am stuck in my mind. So how do I get out of that?
Yep.
And I have to tell myself to breathe. The interesting thing is that when you do intentional breath work, it is the most natural way to shut the mind off.
Okay.
It may be only for a little sliver of time, microseconds, if that, but it gives you a chance to let your body and your spirit have space. So one of the things that I do in my sessions to start off is we always start off with breath work, just to kind of plant ourselves and ground ourselves in the session. So one that I like to do is square breathing. Have you done this before?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what
So
square
a
breathing
square
is.
breath is very simple. We're going to first let everything out. So take a big deep breath in and we'll release. Then we're going to count. We're going to do an inhale for the count of 4. We're going to hold for 4.
Okay.
We're going to let out for 4
Okay.
and hold for 4. So ultimately, it looks like a square if you were to look at that.
All
Okay.
right, good.
So let's do this one more time. I teased you a little bit. So we're going to do this nice big inhale again, and we're going to get everything in, and you're going to breathe all the way down to your belly. And then you're going to release, and you're going to let everything out and all the way out and all the way down. And you're going to feel it all the way in your body and your toes. Then we're going to go in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And we would normally in session, I know we're short on time right now. So in session, we do that a few times to kind of like get the rhythm. And this helps to start ground you into your body. So I'm curious, do you feel anything in your body right now that you hadn't felt? Oh, beautiful. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I'm so stressed. So yeah, I just
Yeah.
But I forget to breathe. And by the way, one thing I want to point out, I breathe wrong, like invertedly, because working in television a lot, you always want to look thinner. So I suck in. So when I breathe,
oh no,
I'm sucking in the wrong way. And I just noticed that my diaphragm should be expanding with air. Instead, it's not. It's going the other way. So I have to fix that.
Yeah, no. And that's
Thank you.
great awareness. Again, it's all about awareness.
Yes.
You can't do this right or wrong. That doesn't exist. It's literally how you become aware of what works for you. And to allow yourself to have that breath work involved in your daily life and create little breaks, that is simply all we are trying to do. Create more breaks of this negative, stressful, anxiety-ridden thought process.
Yeah.
And give yourself a chance to just be. We are human beings. Let's just be and not be so stressed with everything. And I have to remind myself all the time, there's so much going on in my life and I'm always lost in my thoughts. So
thank you. Well, we have to wrap up. We're out of time.
That's okay.
How do we reach you?
So you can reach me again. You can reach me at thepetridishlife.com. If you go on there, just book a discovery call. There's a little form there. It's really fast. From that, I will give you a call and I will send you an email back with a response. And then we can set up a discovery call that works with our schedules and go from there. But I really look forward to talking to everyone out there that's ready to make a change in their life.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here and great getting to know you today.
It was so nice meeting you, Jill. Thank you.
You too.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your Labor Day weekend, okay? And hopefully we'll connect soon, right?
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting. I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling. When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.